I just realized my microphone was off this whole time for our business evolution group. Sorry, guys. Or my creative business convo. Sorry, I just turned my microphone on. I'll save the live and I'll post it later. We'll share it around. But I love when my artwork, it's very fulfilling when it's in health facilities, when it's in, the hospitals and NICU units and cancer units. There's something that's so fulfilling about that for me. And as I was creating the painting, it was in what I call its teenage phase, which is that awkward phase where it's like created and it's painted, but it's like you still have to progress it. Like you could see that it has potential, but it's like you can lose the painting or you can progress it. Any creators out there know like the teenage phase where it can go either way. That's where it was. And I remember I walked into the studio one morning and I was like, okay, don't lose this painting. Don't lose this painting. It's such a 7 foot by 10 foot commission. I'm halfway through it. Don't have to start all over again. Holly hears what I'm saying. And, I got my water, so I put my bag down when I got in the studio. I got some water for my paintbrushes, and I've shared this in my Facebook community before, but I get anxiety. I'm what you call overly self-driven. Like I'm very hard on myself. Whatever. I mean, we'll just call it overly self-driven just to make it sound like a positive when it can turn into a negative. Let's see if we've got some comments here. Yes. Teenage phase is real. Yes, Ciara. It is, and it's such a stressful phase. So that's where it was. And I remember I got the water for my brushes and I got back into the studio and I had that anxiety. And my anxiety shows up in a stomach ache. Like my stomach just hurts. It's a stomach ache. So that's how I'm starting my day in the studios, with a stomach ache. But when I walked into the studio and just the size of that painting and the colors and all of it, it was like instantly my anxiety had gone away. And in that moment, it was like I actually got the sense of that why. When we create our artwork and we share it with people and we want them to have that feeling of just enjoyment and connecting with our artwork, and especially when it's in health facilities, to kind of have that release of that anxiety and that moment of going through those health issues. It was kind of like, oh, this is why this is important. Like I'm actually experiencing, when my artwork's in these places, that actual feeling of like an exhale. So I thought that was actually something neat. And then and then the painting progressed from there, so I didn't end up losing it. Any advice for someone who is trying to find their style? Yes, that's a great question, and I'll get to that here in just a second because that's fantastic. I like that question a lot. One question I did get while I was painting the painting and creating it. Some people are saying, how do you know what you're creating? Like, how do you know what you're painting? Especially for an abstract, how do you know as you're going along, what you're doing? And I think over time, and this is why, and this is actually great for your question as well about any advice for someone who's trying to find their style. It's the constant experience, the constant creating, and constant may not be the right word to use, but it's the getting started and to continue doing it. Because over time, those experiences that you have, the painting your style eventually will evolve the more that you create. So just to keep at it and continuously doing it, and those experiences turn into trusting yourself and trusting your talent and what you're capable of. So even though I went into that 7 foot by 10 foot commission really with a color palette, I knew the colors that I wanted to create with and an idea of what I want it to look like. At the end of the day, it just went back to trusting myself and trusting my experiences. So all of you artists out there, if you're trying to find your style, if you're thinking, wow, painting a painting, how do I, how do I do that? How do I even begin to paint something that big? Or were you scared or anything like that? It really comes back to the importance of the continuous efforts and our experiences, because those experiences really create a trust in ourselves and our creative abilities. So there was something that I did want to, I hope that answers your question. For someone that's trying to find their style, two main things is really just to continue doing it. When I first started, and this is actually probably going to be part of another talk I'm going to do in my Facebook group later this week. When I first started creating, I didn't feel like I had a style. I created, it was like, it seemed very inconsistent. My style seemed very inconsistent, but the more I did it and the more I shared. So I always say that for new artists too, sharing your artwork can be so intimidating and scary. And, even though you may not completely love your piece, or that you're still trying to find your voice and your style, I still shared my work. I still shared it with pride. And the funny thing is that I didn't think my style was developing. It was other people telling me, oh, I saw this photo come up online and I just knew it was your artwork because I could see your style. It looked like your style, XYZ, all of that. So that's why it's very important to share your artwork, especially if you're still trying to find your style, because other people may see your style before you even do, and then they'll share that with you. So those are my 2 points for anyone that's still trying to find their style. So really coming back to this this commission and that thought of it seeming impossible until it's finished, just this overall concept that I think a lot of us as creatives, as business owners, even in our lives, there are so many things that could seem impossible until it's finished. But the secret is really in the action, because we can really sit and romanticize all day about, oh, wouldn't that be great for, if I could XYZ, wouldn't that be great to do this? And we can romanticize about it all day, but if we're not doing any action steps to actually do it, to get to that place, oh, wouldn't it be great one day to be a full-time artist? We can romanticize about that all day, but we're still going to be going to the 9-to-5s if we're not actively doing even just little things. They don't have to be big, groundbreaking things, but just the action steps. So the secret is in the action, because even if you fail, even if you fail thing, failing and falling on your face is going to get you so much further than not doing anything at all, than romanticizing all day. And Sarah Dan, actually, I saw her post something along those lines this week, so I have to give her credit and a shout out for that, because it just goes back to that concept of action. You mess up, whatever. You still learned more than just sitting there thinking about doing it. Let's see. This is fun. I like coffee talks, talking live. I do feel like there was one more thing. Let me see if there are any questions. First, I'm not seeing the questions in my Facebook group, and I'm sure half of them were probably, the comments aren't showing up. I'm sure half of them were telling me my mic was off half the time. Okay, good. That was helpful. Okay. I like your opinion. Thank you. Thanks for being here, everyone. This is fun. Okay. Hey, Melissa. The secret is in the action. I love it. Yes. I love that too. As hard as action is sometimes, and frightening and scary and overwhelming, just the more you do it, the easier it gets. So I think I'm going to end this live. Thanks everybody for being here. And one more shout out to my Creative Business Convo Facebook group. If you're a creative and you're an artist and you're watching on Instagram, join us in the Facebook group, because that's the main place I go live and I do chats and talks and all of that fun stuff. So everybody have a great Tuesday. Okay, bye.